Hi, this is YouTube librarian Mike J. Davinsky. I'm working with careers in virtual reality technology. I concluded that on the one hand, that VR headset is generic and as such doesn't provide the virtual reality experience. On the other hand, the hand refers to being able to use your hands instead of controllers. That's what I decided. Why is she black? So I took a look at, they provided some referrals. So I'm going to take a look at them. One is to a website called Toontastic. It's for future authors, directors, musicians, inventors, and anyone else who wants to turn their brilliant ideas into 3D cartoons. There's an app for Toontastic. Google wants to give storytellers of all ages a megaphone to share their creativity with the world. This is a referral in something for elementary school kids. And it's very similar to the first question I answered. How would you get into video game design? It's probably something to take a look at to provide a supportive environment for future people in production.
This should be pretty easy. Just use the hand, and we're in. Dun, dun, dun.
So Toontastic is by Google, 2017.
At last we meet.
Dark and stormy night when suddenly a terrifying monster. Cut! Wait, a monster! Yeah.
So that's the video from Toontastic.
It's you! Cool! He's a scary friend. Thanks. We're gonna get you. Roar! Ah! Mess her up, directed by you. Fantastic. Lights, camera, play.
You know, I myself just used American Greetings to send a card to my family members.
Get away from me.
So that's what I'm at.
No longer can you do that. Now I have my potion of Titans.
And then that looks okay. I don't know how difficult it would be to use for an elementary school kid. I don't know if this is a resource for teachers. Tinkercad I'm looking at is a free web for 3D design, electronics, and coding trusted by over 50 million people around the world. Start tinkering during class. That seems like a lot of people, 50 million. There are lesson plans for teachers. All you need is a what if. Here's the video.
This is Tinkercad, a completely free app that helps students imagine, design, and make by introducing them to the worlds of 3D design, electronics, and coding. No downloads, no strings attached, just the power to go from mind to design in minutes. All you need is a what if. From learning the basics of 3D design to using blocks-based code to bring big ideas to life, and adding light and movement with circuits. Tinkercad helps students build confidence as they discover the
I'm not sure how useful that is, but what's it called? Tinker? Here is a Trimble. Try SketchUp. The joy of drawing by hand. The ease of super smart 3D modeling software. Make sustainable buildings. Try it free for 30 days. You can buy SketchUp. You could try it. I guess you could try it for 30 days. Here's Scratch. There are different games. This must be those Math and Science Academy students. We have kids making games. I was working with coloring books a few years ago. There's blocky games, blocky.games. Games for tomorrow's programming. It looks like we have some resources for teachers to provide a possible learning experience. A little bit of a history of virtual reality. Okay, so I looked at that. I think that's the main word. Classroom projects. I, as a perspective, as a teacher, I would have to evaluate it further. I would have to try it out to see how, whether I would be able to use it, what I could recommend it for elementary school kids. But, so let's go back. We were reading Careers in Virtual Reality Technology, and we took a look at some of the referrals that they provided to Tinkercad, to SketchUp, for example, to Scratch, to Toontastic. And it looks like you would be able to tinker around with different blocks in the Lego sense of the word using a computer software program. That's the best. That's what it looks like to me, but I would have to have a little bit more exposure to it. But let's take a look at it. We were reading about 3D artists. Let's take a look now at game designer. There's Pokemon on a smartphone. Someone's holding it. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live inside your favorite video game? You don't have to wonder anymore. Virtual reality VR is changing the way people play video games. And instead of looking at a screen, you could jump into a whole new world. Some VR experiences are simply 3D worlds where you can move around and look at things, but many of today's most popular and interesting VR programs are full-fledged video games. There are video games where you can drive high-speed race cars or explore detailed fantasy worlds. There are even VR games where you can become Batman or fly a Star Wars ship. A huge number of elements go into the creation of a single VR game. There are the graphics and sound. There are games controls. There are rules for players to follow and goals for them to achieve. In many games, there are stories, characters, and dialogue, just like a movie or TV. So, who oversees all of this to make sure it fits together as a fun game? Game designers. They are the creative thinkers behind all of your favorite games. Sometimes they work alone or as part of a small team. Other times they work alongside hundreds of other people to get the job done. Often a lead designer oversees several small teams that each work on separate parts of the game. Designers are always thinking about ways to make a game more interesting or fun to play. They plan on exciting levels for players to explore. They come up with unique settings and stories for the games. Interesting or fun. Interesting or fun. They think about new ways of controlling games. Designers' job is more than just dreaming up fun games. But game designers have to figure out whether ideas are even possible with current technology. They also have to consider their project's budget. Sometimes a great idea for a game might simply be too expensive to create. Most game designers have technical skills as well as creative talent. Their knowledge of programming and game design software helps them communicate with other team members. Future game designer, it can be tough for new designers to get a foot in the door at big VR game companies. Video games are very popular, and there are a lot of people who want to help Make them. One way to improve your chances of getting a job is to work on your own small game design projects. You never know who your creations might impress. So that's game designers. And that's it. For now, I'm gonna put on the PlayStation VR headset, which has actually been strangely on. And for some reason, I actually have to get up. Grab the controller. I'm putting on my earbuds. I went through a lot to do this. What happened? I really appreciate virtual reality because it makes it possible for me to watch TV again. I was a major Netflix watcher. I watched a lot of movies in my life. I watched TV when I was a kid. And then all of a sudden, I was blocked. I just didn't have the right. I was a connoisseur, and almost everything I chose was really good. So I think the TV was on my washer and dryer. And the battery is charged on the controller. This button allows me to adjust the headset a little bit. I don't know what to say from this vantage point. It's full HD. It's not necessarily 3D audio, but it is stereo sound. You see this cable here? Look how long it is. It's connected to my PlayStation 4. I have to be careful at this point because it's underneath the camera. and I could have flipped it. And so you see it continues on as a cable. I could move, but I just ruined my experience. I think that was. I'm gonna probably have to speak louder because I don't know if the mic on the smartphone can hear me when I'm talking like a gentleman. That means there are three things that the PlayStation VR2 can do that the competitors aren't as good at. Blu-ray movies, video games, shows. There is a web TV component to shows. Sometimes you can watch a show by streaming it off the internet. So it might just be video games and Blu-ray discs that differentiate it from the competition. But I think it's a very nice benefit. I'm almost sold on the PlayStation VR2 at this point after this analysis. That does provide enough added value to justify. Well, I mean, why is it twice the cost of the Meta Quest 2 though? A little bit expensive. I mean, I can walk out the door for $600 with a PlayStation VR2 with tax. I mean, there's a GameStop down the street from where I live. I can walk down the street in about 15 minutes, and if I had $600, or if I could make payment arrangements, if I had a credit card, I could come home in 30 minutes with a VR2 headset. But it would cost $600 and 30 minutes of my time to come home with a VR2. Even if GameStop sold out on the VR2, Target might carry the VR2. 30 minutes. In 30 minutes with $600, I could come home with a VR2 headset. That was called Whitechapel, the show on BritBox. You know how I feel? I feel like I'm almost there. Back to watching TV like a normal kid in America. I'm like, I'm so close. So, so I'm holding a PlayStation 4 controller, and I have to press the 0 button to back out, and then I have to use the left stick to go down, and then I press the X button to press on the show that I'm interested in. X and O and left stick. Volume is controlled over here. And what I should do, I don't have a mic right now. See, that'll lower the volume and that'll increase the volume. But if you notice, the mic is on. And when I press this button here, I turn off the mic so he doesn't, so I'm not confusing the computer with what I'm saying all of the time. But I'm not actually wearing my Turtle Beach headphones, so I don't know where the mic would be necessarily, unless it's the PlayStation camera has a mic, which it could, by the way. So let's say I say, "Hey, PlayStation." I don't see it acknowledging me right now, but let's say I turn on the mic. "Hey, PlayStation." PlayStation, all commands. So there is, in fact, a very valuable command statement. It's right up front, the first one. So when the mic is on, my camera is listening to me in the way that the Connect camera can listen. And I can tell it to go to the annual cloud subscription that I have. It's a monthly cloud subscription or an annual. I have an annual one. That's pretty cool. You just say, "Hey, PlayStation, start PlayStation Plus," which means the subscription. But that's only when the mic is on. I turned it off so I don't confuse the PlayStation. So I'll have to press. I don't mind this show necessarily. It's someone shows up to a storage unit and gives a price for the material. I think it's a lot of work, but you never know what you're gonna find. So first I press X on the controller, then I use the left stick, I go down, and there's Mountain Man, Outback Hunters, UFO Hunters, Graveyard Cars. Let's go to Graveyard Cars. And then I press 0. This is love and hip hop. So how am I doing that? X and O and a left stick on the controller. You don't see the actual movie I'm watching, but it is with PlayStation. You can connect it to a TV, and you can see what I'm looking at on the TV. Here's a great show. It's very popular. 16 and Pregnant. I'm just joking. I wonder if this is the right time. I don't think it's 7:41 at this time. Am I supposed to adjust the clock? It is 7:41? Oh wow. Here's 16 and Pregnant, and then there's Teen Mom 2. And then here's Teen Mom 2. I knew that this was we have Skin Wars. I had to switch. I had a Blu-ray disc for Taylor Swift 1989 The World Tour Live, and because there was a problem with the acoustics, I switched it over to the Xbox Blu-ray disc player, and because I get better sound on the Xbox wireless headphones. And what was interesting when I was reading about the resolution on the PlayStation, it said 1080 1960, but it was bracketed 1080 960. And if I put on Taylor Swift in the bedroom using the Xbox, I'm projecting it onto the wall. You know that image couldn't be more than the bracketed amount of 1080 960. And I have to admit that when the image was less saturated, it was actually better for some reason. Smoother, less grainier, less saturated. So I wonder, I mean, this is a 1080 by 1960. This is full HD. But if my projector can't even achieve HD, I was surprised that Taylor Swift looked good on the lesser with lesser pixelation, with lesser, smaller resolution. You know, a Blu-ray disc can deliver 4K. So we're not talking about 4K image quality. We're not talking about full HD. We're talking about a projector projecting the Blu-ray disc onto my wall. And she ended up looking, her concert looked a little bit better when it was lightened up. Like smoother, less saturated, less grainy. I was surprised. And I get a slightly better sound on the Xbox wireless headphones, Bluetooth to the Xbox One S console. So we're not going to watch Taylor Swift using the PlayStation 4 and the VR headset, because I wasn't satisfied with the sound system. Here's a great show. It's kind of rough. Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grade? It was made into a video game that I would recommend, actually, if you have a chance to pick it up for your kids. Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? It's kind of like a normal Wheel of Fortune game, but it features fifth graders competing with adults to get to the answer to a question. I like it. Drew Barrymore is here. I don't know why I get a little bit self-conscious when watching her. I probably would enjoy the Drew Barrymore show. She's doing a cooking show. Here's the show. Oh, my favorite show is on the next channel. I might be able to tell. I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable in this Buddhist position. It's not working for me as well anymore. Portlandia is one of my favorite shows. I just think that's so clever. Did you know that Miss Brown, I think is her name, she anticipated my. I was a member of the Quadrangle Club on the University of Chicago campus, and on the cover of All Hands on the Bad One, there's a kind of reference to some kind of racist white tall people dragging someone out of a club, and I'm almost sure that was my Quadrangle Club experience. It was centrally located across the street from the Regenstein Library, and there's a tennis court in which you get some real stage time, but I wasn't going to do tennis. What would have happened at the Quadrangle Club is I would have made it to the second floor. They had a bookcase of University of Chicago press books. So if I was a member, I would have read the newspaper while drinking some reishi tea, and then I would have headed up to the second floor and grabbed a book from the book library, and then I would have had something to eat. That's pretty much what my Quadrangle experience. What I wouldn't have taken advantage of, which is supposed to be really valuable, is the tennis court, which is a expensive line item. I'm getting uncomfortable. I won't be able to do this very long. I'm kind of sitting on a stool, and I've done this too much today. I'm like really glad to get to Portlandia, but this actress, she was in a band called Sleater Kinney. I used I ended my like alternative musical experience when I was in high school at Sleater Kinney, and then I decided to get rid of my entire music collection because I was afraid that it was depressing, which is bullshit. It was nothing. It wasn't depressing. So I thought that was good news. I mean, and that's it.